How's it going, everybody? Savage Gita saying what is good to all my Super Saiyan homies, and I'm here today to do Powerful Opponent with Jiren now. I did it last time when Metal Cooler came out. I also did it when Goku Black came out. This team is a lot of fun, and I've just loved seeing the growth. The only thing I wish is that they were giving more love to units besides Green. Because, again, this team is really growing, and I'm really loving to see it. The only thing I wish we had was a better blue, because Boo-Tanks is garbage. And this Frieza is a defense unit, but because he's an EX, he doesn't really do defense too good. So, I don't know. We got some good matches in this video. I really enjoyed a couple of them. I did like 6 or 7 of them. I'm only going to put 3 in, though. There's a couple were kind of like crummy opponents. Another one, the singular match I lost was literally just me. You ever just have like one of those matches where like you just everything you do you just fuck up? It was one of those, so I'm just not going to include it. But anywho, like I said, this team is a lot of fun. I really think they deserve a slot, not on Z tier, but probably like S tier 1 at worst. Like they're really, really good. Yeah, I'm gonna shut up. We're gonna hop into it. All right, see you in a second. Alright, so for this first match, we're going up against Steve Main, which is, yeah, I don't know what that's about, but he's running Fusion. This match was a lot of fun. This actually was one of the ones that was on the longer side, but he's running the Triple Vegito Fusion. And so I opted to run Zamasu, Cell, and Jiren for this first match. Why I chose to go for Zamasu over Turles, just felt like having a second cover change. Felt like if he was going to have 2, maybe I should have 2. That's that. So early on, he's getting an early priority, kind of being a little bit sloppy. Just get some early taps in, try to get myself some distance. But I mean, the man does have blast armor, so he is able to drain my vanish. Fortunately, you know, I am able to dodge out of there and go from there. And once again, kind of open the distance with Jiren. But at that point, all I can do is tap, just because my hand isn't necessarily the best. So right there, I was trying to bait him out with a key cancel, but he does get a perfect vanish, and that's going to kind of make things a little bit more difficult. So at this point, I'm going to kind of opt to bring in the Cell, and what that may do is maybe bait out the Vegito Blue, which, you know, strike combo city. I got a blue card right here. I'm going to be able to do a nice little swap, but not what ends up happening. Instead, he goes for the ult. As I'm sure he was expecting the cover change and was trying to take it out, but instead manages to just take out Cell's first life. Now at this point, I start getting kind of like wishy-washy because I'm like, okay, I'm not going to be able to tank a Rising Rush anymore. And I go for the green card to try to go for the immobilization, not realizing that Vegito Blue, just like everything else, is immune. And right there, you can see some good patience, a nice, well, not a nice panic swipe, but like a little panic swipe from me. However, we are able to get Jiren off in there, and we are going to be able to chain the blue card in. But as we've seen, he hasn't switched anybody in for a while, so he is going to be able to bring in his Super Vegito and actually tank this pretty darn well. The damage is still kind of impressive from Jiren, but you know, it's still green versus a purple, so it's not going to be the best. Once again, he's able to get off a PV and start doing some damage to Cell. But Cell, once he gets to his second life, is a lot better than people give him credit, honestly. I don't think people really, you know, give him enough credit. But yeah, so he's going to be able to at least get this ult off. Do a pretty solid amount of damage, honestly. Did Cell at a pretty dangerous spot. And right there, I'm going to go for the green card again as I was trying to paralyze the Super Vegito. However, he does bring in Vegito Blue, which is going to give us a chance to kind of do all this. Now, he does get the combo drop and is going to be able to get a blue card off with the blast armor. And at this point, I'm kind of just panicking. I'm kind of just being hyper-aggressive because I don't really know what to do. But there, it looks like he was trying to catch me at a sidestep with that blue card. And in doing so, he gets trapped in that long animation. So at this point, all I have is Blast, and I'm kind of worried he's going to go to Vegito Blue, but he goes to the Super Vegito instead. And at this point, the only thing I can think to do is rush. I typically try not to, but at this point, things are kind of getting dicey for me. I need to get rid of somebody on the board to at least make my odds a little bit better. So we're able to get it off successfully, going for the strike. I had a feeling he would probably go for a blast, considering I had just used a bunch of blasts, actually. And so, you know, you sometimes see people think that that's what you're going to go for. Like, they think because you used a lot, you'll probably keep going with that. At that point, I tried to get out of it with Zamasu, but, you know, just poor decisions were made, which is going to bring in Cell and really just put Cell in a not great position. Now granted, he is pretty much out of cards at this point, so I knew there wasn't going to be much left of the combo, but Cell really is in a lot of danger at this point, especially considering he hasn't used his rush yet. So to lose Cell would just be pretty detrimental at this point. But we are able to get the Jiren switch in, and not really take a lot, and then even get the Zamasu switch in and fire off the blue card in succession, which honestly does a lot of damage to this yellow Super Vegito. Now here's where his rush comes in. I don't necessarily mind this because I'm losing Zamasu, who at this point doesn't really have any purpose. He didn't really have much purpose to begin with, but it was just nice to have the second cover change. And even at that, we're able to guess him and make things not so great. So at this point in the meta, I've been going for taps after a Rising Rush. And so we are at least able to drain his Vanish by doing that. And so that's going to give us a nice leg up in getting him. So at this point, I'm going to switch to Cell, because even though he's going to be able to kill Cell right here, it's going to give Jiren his Vanish back and make things a bit better. So we're able to get a clash right here, but my nerves just get the better of me, and I'm only able to get 902, and he gets a near perfect in half a second, so I mean, good for him. And this is where things get scary, because Vegito Blue does really well. So at that point, I could tell he was waiting for Blast Armor, but for whatever reason, I went for the Blast. We do drain his Vanish, and he is going to kind of go for some stuff to kind of get rid of my buffs and debuffs, you know, with his nice little chicory. So at this point, again, yeah, things are looking pretty scary. Now, it's very easy to turn things around because I have another Vanish, and he doesn't have one. But even right there, he's waiting out for the Blast Armor, and I should have gone for my Strike. It's just, you know, a bad chain of events. Now there, we're able to get another clash with a nice little key cancel over there. And this one, we're just barely able to win. He's not necessarily having as good of a thing there. That gives me a chance to draw the ult and heal up a bit. And for whatever reason, I panicked and went for the green, not remembering that the green does that, but I'm able to get the forfeit. So, yeah, it ends up working out. Alright, I'll see you guys on the next one. Alright, so this match we're up against Spiritual, who is running a God Key team. Slash Future, but the bench, he also had the blue Goku and Wisp, so I was calling it God Key. But this is technically a Future team as well. So right here, we're able to get a nice cover change off pretty early on, get a purple with a blue succession in. Now, I was fairly certain he was going to switch, but instead we're able to get half of his health, and then he, you know, heals up another quarter of it. So really, we only gave like a quarter of his health, and that's pretty alright. We're able to bait him out with a tackle, but he is, I believe that was a perfect, because he got that priority pretty well. So he brings in his Zamasu, and somehow, I think he was either going for a charge or a tap blast, but it doesn't matter anyway, because I, for whatever reason, instead of dropping the combo, shot across the screen like Stungatz. So we get all that, he gets his taps in, and once again falls for a tackle, but again, I'm fairly certain it was a key cancel. Now, he does a very good job of dropping the combo right there, because we're able to get Jiren in, but, you know, Jiren's just taking some D-Duke-Done damage. The nice part about seeing this green card is at the very least you know that there's no blast cards in hand at that point, so I feel a little bit better about that stuff. But for whatever reason I ended up going for the blast armor on the green card rather than going for a strike with blast armor himself. He's going to go for his ult, and this is going to put Jiren in some pretty not good positions. Like, he is real low at this point, but we're able to get a perfect on his final flash. For whatever reason, I see a lot of people do that. I see a lot of people go for that blue card right after, and so that's what we go for. I end up going for the ult here because I knew the Zamasu was going to come in, and all I have else was strike cards. So we're able to go for this, and just see how much damage he's going to do to Zamasu, which is not a lot at all. So we're going to get Turles in here and, you know, start doing our thing. He gets a nice perfect on Turles, but I'm not necessarily worried about that damage. Now, however, here's the damage we're worried about. So I'm going to bring in Zamasu here because at this point, I know that the Vegeta's not doing too great and I can take care of him. He's already used his ult, so he's in pretty manageable range for Jiren. We're not able to guess the rush, and down goes Zamasu. And so, yeah, things are looking a little dicey because, you know, we've got Turles going, we've got Jiren going, but Jiren is not looking too hot. Jiren's not dead, but he's not looking too hot. His health recovery is pretty nice, though, because while he's sitting here, he's at least getting a little better, and the strike damage is not so bad. So here we're going to be able to get the kill in on Vegeta. Rather than him, you know, going for the taps, we're able to get that rather than strike. I see him go for the tackle, and we're able to capitalize. Zamasu's going to come in, but this is just going to set us up for the rush, and we're going to use a nice little green card because he did see us use one pretty recently, I felt like, and I just wanted to go for as much damage as possible on Zamasu. He goes for the strike and able to work out just fine, putting us in a much nicer position than we were just moments ago. So this is a pretty good sequence for us, and ends up pretty much securing the win for us at this point. So I'm able to bring in Turles and just kind of do his thing. Turles is pretty much here to just take some damage, get Jiren his gauge back. So this way Jiren can probably finish us out. And Turles is able to eat some of this damage pretty darn well, I'd say. But he is able to pick up the KO, and Jiren's just sitting there with not too great of health, but it doesn't matter anyway because we're able to get a blast in and secure the win with 2 nice little strikes. So Jiren does pretty well for us, and we will see us in the last one real quick. Alright, so this last one we're up against Hit Girl. I have to say, this match was the most fun match I've had in quite some time. We're up against the Pride Troopers and El Hermano. We're able to get a nice backup and a perfect vanish early on. And this is going to be nice to just start doing some early damage to their Jiren. I'm saying there because this is Hit Girl, so I'm hoping that this was a female opponent. So yeah, Jiren does some nice damage early on, and we're able to take care of Hit pretty early. The only thing that was really bad about that right there was that I didn't have enough ki to go for the strike, so I wasn't able to capitalize on the tackle despite knowing that it was a tackle. So at this point I'm bringing in Cell just to kind of play, switchy-swatchy with vanishes. And we go for the ki cancel, but he's able to get a perfect, or she is able to get a perfect. And at that point, trying to bait out a strike, he or she does a very good job of doing all that and taking care of all my cards just by doing that nice little sequence just there. Because, you got that blast from Topo when I got the switch in from Jiren. So that sets up a nice priority. And then Dispo comes in destroying all my cards, doing the ult just there. That just puts me in a pretty bad position right here to do anything. So I'm just going to go for a tap to try and bait out anything. We get into a little tap clash off of the ki cancel. And once again, I'm at a point where I couldn't really do anything off of their tackle just because I didn't have any cards in hand. So again, this is a nice little sequence from Dispo and Jiren right there. So props to them. Great sequence. But right here, we're able to start taking a priority. For whatever reason, I guess they thought they could combo the blue. And so what I'm going to do here is just start doing as much damage to Topo as possible. See if we can get rid of that first life. I didn't know whether or not they were going to switch, but whoever was going to be in for that this ult was really going to do some nice damage too. Because again, this is going to take rid of Topo's first life. And just put us in a nice, decent position. Now, granted, the ult is still there and the healing's still there. But to at least have endurance out of the way is solid. So once again, able to bait out a switch from Jiren, and gets a nice little switch in from their own Jiren. Starts doing some really good damage. So at this point, I start letting Jiren take some of the strikes, but we are going to bring in Cell to tank the ult, because at this point, Cell still has his first life. So worst case scenario, Cell gets put down to his second life. And that's exactly what happens because Jiren's ult hits like an absolute bus, and these are all 7-star and above Pride Troopers. So they're going to do a pretty decent job. So at this point, we're going to go to try and get the immobilization. And they saw that I had been doing a lot of taps, so I had actually gone for the vanish because I saw I tried to go for my own vanish because I saw they did taps. When in reality, I probably should have capitalized on it and gone for either the strike or the blast that was in my hand at that time. So at that point, we get a combo drop, and we're able to take care of that strike animation lock, and just start kind of going to town with Cell. Now, what bothers me here is now that I watch this match back, is that I could have gone for that blast, done a ki charge, and we would have had Dispo out of the way right there. So that was a really small mistake that honestly could have made this match a lot better. We're able to bait out with a tap, but I think I was getting a little anxious, so at that point I did a double tap, and they're actually able to lock us in with Dispo. However, we are finally able to get the cover change in on Topo, because at this point we're both playing a little sloppy. As you can see, I'm able to get the perfect vanish off of that, but then they're able to get their own strike cover change with El Hermano. So, it just kind of is what it is. Real once again switching to Cell to tank some of this damage from Jiren, because even in the second life now, does a lot better job of tanking, but we still see that Jiren is just an absolute monster. Now, rather than going for the strike there, what I should have done was, you know, dodge, but I didn't, and instead we get locked into this whole little sequence here. And not getting rid of Dispo is going to come in and cost me with Zamasu, which is going to be a bit of a problem considering that Jiren is still looking pretty healthy on their part. Because we're not able to guess this one. I went for the green, just because I had felt like I hadn't seen one in a while from them. I felt like it was what they were holding on to, but they just went for a simple strike, and down goes Zamasu, and kind of my Jiren insurance at this point. So things are starting to get a little risky at this point, considering their Jiren's at really good position. But we are able to finally get rid of Dispo, and hope for the best. So Jiren, we are able to catch with some patience finally, with some waiting. And at this point, it's really just a matter of who's he going to bring in, Toppo or Jiren. Toppo's going to go down though to this ult, and things are looking really nice here for Jiren. Now at this point, I do still have the rush, but truth be told, I did try and not use the rush, because we do still have Cell. Not anymore though. And here comes Jiren. Now at this point, I really start getting panicky, as you guys can kind of see. And truth be told, there is a little bit of sloppiness, because right there, I went for a tap thing, but then, Jiren has blast armor, and I did it again. But there, we're actually able to get the vanish because I, had the space on him from long range, and that'll do it for the final match. Alright guys, that'll do it for the video. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.